Today, we journey into the heart of one of the most compelling stories ever told, a story etched into the ancient scrolls of Scripture, a story that speaks not just of law or power, but of wisdom so profound, it pierced through lies, unveiled truth, and changed lives forever. This is the Judgment of Solomon, a tale that has fascinated minds for centuries. Let us go back, thousands of years, into the grand throne room of Israel's most celebrated monarch, King Solomon. He wasn't the first king, he wasn't the strongest king, but he was the wisest, a man whose mind had been touched by God himself. When he was but a young ruler, Solomon made a request, not for riches, not for fame, but for wisdom. And God granted it in full measure. And then came the day when that divine wisdom was put to a test no man could have prepared for. It began with two women. They were not royalty. They weren't nobles or people of influence. They were women living on the margins of society, prostitutes according to the biblical record. But on that day, they stood before the king, carrying with them not just a plea, but a moral riddle wrapped in sorrow. They lived in the same house. Both were pregnant. Both gave birth. The first woman delivered her child, and 3 days later, the second woman gave birth as well. There were no midwives, no friends, no witnesses, only two women and two infants. And then, tragedy. One of the babies died. According to the first woman, something unthinkable happened during the night. The second woman, exhausted and asleep, had unknowingly rolled over her baby, smothering him. When she discovered the lifeless body beside her, she panicked. And while the first woman slept, she crept across the room and made the cruelest exchange. She placed the dead child in the arms of the sleeping mother and took the living child as her own. Morning came. The first woman stirred from sleep, ready to nurse her baby. But as she looked into the child's face, something felt wrong. The baby was still and cold. Her heart sank. But even in her grief, she noticed something strange. This is not my child. She examined the baby closely, perhaps remembering a freckle, a curve in the ear, the rhythm of her son's breathing. And then, clarity struck like lightning. Her baby had been stolen. She confronted the other woman. Tears, denial, screams. The argument escalated. And soon, both women stood before the king of Israel. Imagine that scene. A young king, two grieving mothers, one living child, one unspeakable act of deceit, and no witnesses, no proof. The court falls silent, and then Solomon speaks. One woman steps forward.
"My lord,"
she says with urgency in her voice,
"this woman and I live in the same house. I gave birth while she was with me. 3 days later, she also gave birth. We were alone. Then in the night, her son died.
She switched our babies while I slept. In the morning, I woke up to nurse my son, but he was dead. And when I looked closer, I saw it wasn't the son I had born." The second woman interrupts with fire in her voice.
"No, the living one is mine. The dead one is hers."
Back and forth they argue, each clinging to her truth, each crying louder than the other. The king listens, quietly, thoughtfully. Then he speaks again. This one says, "My son is alive and yours is dead." The other says, "No, your son is dead and mine is alive." There is no resolution, no clarity, no DNA test, no witness testimony, just words and a living baby lying silently between them. Then Solomon utters 4 words that shake the room. "Bring me a sword." Gasps. A soldier approaches, unsure but obedient, and hands the sword to the king. Then comes the decree that shocks the world. Cut the living child in 2. Give half to one woman and half to the other. What kind of judgment is this? Is the king truly suggesting the child be split like property? But this was not the final judgment. It was a mirror, a magnifying glass, a divine test designed to reach past logic and into the soul. At once, one of the women breaks. Her voice trembles. Her body shakes. "Please, my lord," she pleads. "Give her the baby. Don't kill him. Let him live, even if he's not with me." But the other woman, cold, calculating. Neither of us shall have him. Go ahead, cut him in two." And now Solomon has his answer. His voice, calm but commanding, echoes across the hall. "Do not kill the child. Give him to the first woman. She is the mother." With that, justice is restored, the child is saved, and Solomon's wisdom becomes legend. For what man, especially so young, could devise such a test? Not one rooted in knowledge, but in understanding. Not built on rules, but on reading hearts. The nation of Israel hears the story, and they are stunned, not just at the verdict, but at the discernment behind it. They knew in that moment, Solomon wasn't just a man of power. He was a man of God-given insight. He could see what others couldn't. He could reach into the unseen places of the human heart and pull out the truth. And so the legacy of the Judgment of Solomon was born. Not simply as a tale of motherhood, but as a masterclass in leadership, in wisdom, in understanding the weight of justice. This story, while ancient, still echoes today. It reminds us that wisdom is not about how much we know. It's about how deeply we perceive. True wisdom doesn't shout, it listens, it discerns, it sees the heart before the words. Solomon's judgment teaches us that when truth is buried in emotion, confusion, and conflict, real insight finds a way to reveal it. And that is why this story still matters. Because in a world of blurred lines and complex choices, it calls us back to something pure. The power of wisdom that sees beyond the surface. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If this story stirred something in you, if it reminded you of the importance of truth, discernment, or even the strength of a mother's love, please consider liking this video, sharing it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribing for more timeless stories with powerful lessons. We appreciate your presence. And until next time, seek wisdom, choose justice, and never underestimate the power of a single decision.